why don't you talk about white crime as much as you talk about black crime? What I think about that is I think it's a big load of baloney.
No, I'm asking you, where are you getting that information from?
I get it from the computer, Google.
Do you love white people?
I love everybody.
Do you love white people? Well, when you think of one thing that I've said about most of the blacks that are not true, let me know. Do not be afraid to be an individual. That's what made America so great. Clyde, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
How you doing, Jesse Lee Peterson? I've been
all this well, sir. Thanks for calling.
All right. I've been calling you for a long time trying to get through. I finally made it through to talk to the great Jesse Lee Peterson.
Well, I'm glad you made it through, buddy.
Yeah. So basically, I wanted to talk to you about your hatred for black people, how you often talk about the Bible, how you're supposed to love your neighbor, love your mother, love your father. But whenever you get to talking about black people, it's always some kind of a black degeneracy going on. It's always some type of pointing the finger at black people for their condition and for what America has done to them as a group. You're always highlighting crime. You're always highlighting the crimes that they're guilty of, but you make sure to respect your white audience. You make sure to respect your white supremacist audience, because most of your audience are a bunch of white supremacists anyway, and a lot of the black people that follow you are a bunch of sellouts. So I want to know why don't you talk about white crime as much as you talk about black crime?
Well, the reason...
That's just one question I have for you.
Okay. And the reason I bring up white crime sometimes, but the reason I talk about the black crime, because black people are fewer in numbers than white folks are in this country, and yet they are committing most of the violent crime. They outnumber the white folks and anyone else when it comes to violent crime. And when I was growing up, I remember when black people were not carrying on like this, they had sense. And the reason that they did was because they believed in God, number one. They had families, fathers and mothers in the home, and there was a sense of respect for everybody. But when the civil rights movement started, which was one of the worst things that ever happened to the blacks other than abortion itself. And so and so I'm showing it because I'm hoping, and some are overcoming being black and being identified with groups. They're starting to take back their lives. And so
but
that's
Jesse,
why...
That's something that you'll always be identified with. You can't run from your blackness. You can try. You can kiss as much white butt as you want to throughout your life, but you'll never be one of them. You'll always be a black man, which I've heard people call your show and call you an N-word anyway. So you do know you're in a group with the rest of us, right? You do know that.
No, I'm not. For sure that I'm not. I'm not in the group with the blacks. And I'm not.
Oh, you're not. Oh, what group are you in? What group are you in?
Let me just finish. You're doing fine.
Okay.
Don't interrupt.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not in the group with the whites. I'm in the group with what is right, and not about color. And I am not my color. And white people don't call me the N-word. It's the blacks who call me that. So,
Jesse, it was a white person that called the show and called you an N-word. You know that.
I'm showing love to the blacks by telling them they must forgive their mothers, and return to their fathers, and so they can overcome the world by overcoming color and cultural and all that crap, and be their own leaders and don't let somebody else lead them.
Can I ask you a question about your love for black people? Can I ask you a question about that?
What about it?
Your question, my question for your love for black people, did you love George Floyd enough to not blame?
Hold on, all right? Let me take a break. I don't see a turnaround. So you got to overcome it. You can be in it, but not of it by overcoming it. And I want to go back to CLYDE, a first-time caller out of New Jersey. And CLYDE, I'm apparently think that I hate the blacks, but I'm really trying to point them back to themselves and to the way it was in the good old days before the so-called civil rights movement, and so that the blacks can stop allowing themselves to be used to destroy America. That's their purpose on earth today, to be used to destroy America. And either they don't realize what's happening, or they don't know it, or something. But anyway, he had another question about George Floyd, I believe. Clyde, am I right? You wanted to ask me about George Floyd?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about your love for George Floyd and everything. Back in the to piggyback off of what you just said, back in the days, if you want to go back to those days, that was back when the Klan was running around killing black people on a daily basis and weren't getting consequences for it. So for you to say that we need to go back to the good old days, I think is just mindless coon babble. And I'm not surprised that it's coming out of your mouth. But
where'd you get that idea that the Klans were going around killing blacks on a daily basis? Where'd you get that from?
All you have to do is look it up, Jesse. You're from Alabama. You should know better.
Right. That's why I know that that's not true. And that's why I'm asking you. I'm asking you, where'd you get that information from? That the Klans were going around killing the blacks on a daily basis.
I got it from Google. But see, while you were busy jumping around in the potato sack,
but that's not true.
You're not going to pay attention to what's going on to black people. You're not.
Clyde,
you didn't even care.
Clyde, that's not true. The Klans were not going around killing blacks on a daily basis.
Oh, okay, Jesse. I'll take it. I'll take it from you. But let's talk about your love for black people. Why did you antagonize George Floyd's death, and why did you antagonize Tyre Nichols' death when you posted him crying for his mom and then saying he should have cried for God? Now, where's your love for those two men? Where's your love for them?
And that's an example of my love. Is that God said that we must return to the Father. There will come a day when I return the children to the fathers and the fathers to the children. And most black men and women are not returning to the fathers. They have taken on the identity of their mothers, and their mothers are their God. And so as a result of that, when both Floyd and the boy down in Memphis, when they were underground, instead of crying out to the father, they cried out to the mama. Mama,
but you did that to antagonize.
Because
you did that to antagonize. You know you did.
Because in the black community, mama is God, and I don't think
that's not true.
I'm mama and grandmama, and I'm thinking that most black people don't know, as I didn't know at one time, that they have to overcome mama. Mama is the problem, not the solution. And so they must forgive their mothers for turning them away from their earthly fathers, in return turning them away from God. And I guarantee you, once they do that, their whole life would change for the good. And and so instead of crying out to mama, they would cry out to God.
So I know I can't hold your line.
What do you think about that?
I don't want to hold up your line.
What do you think about I understand that, Clyde, and you're doing fine. What do you think about that? I just said.
What I think about that is I think it's a big load of baloney. I think that we don't look at our mothers and grandmothers as God in our community. I think that's nonsense.
Why did they cry out to mama rather than God or their earthly father?
Well, I can't explain why.
I just explained it to you.
That's not the reason, though, Jesse. That's not the reason, because he looks at his mom as God. Are you kidding me?
Right.
The guy was getting beat to death. What are you talking about?
Right, and that's why if he has to cry,
getting beaten like that.
But if he has to cry out to someone, why not God? Why mama? If mama is not God to him, why mama?
But you're not in that position, Jesse. So
I'm asking you. What do you think?
Well, I think that it varies from person to person. When you're in a situation where you're going through pain and you're fighting for your life, you can say anything. I think for you to judge him off of what he said, another black man, after you talk about how much you love him, practicing the devil's work, which is antagonizing the man and doing it for your white audience, I think that's worse than him crying out for his mom as opposed to calling out for God.
Is it? And so you think that it's better to cry out to mama and not, are you a Christian?
Yes, I'm a Christian, yes.
And so you believe, as a Christian, you believe it's better to cry out to mama rather than God?
I think that it's better. I think that when you're going through pain and fighting for your life, you can call out to you can call out to anybody out of fear and out of fear because you're going through a traumatic experience. So you're liable to say anything. I don't think that man should be getting judged off of what he said.
I'm not judging it. I'm trying to point the blacks back to the Father. And so that when they are, hold on, buddy. And so that when they are in a situation, they will cry out to the Father and not the mama. The mama is the problem.
Okay, let me ask you one quick question. Who do whites need to call out to? Because you often talk about how blacks need to get
They need to cry out to the Father. The same principles apply to every human being on this side of heaven, right? You know, God said that we must be born again. And what he's saying is that we must be born. We are born through the mother, which is hell, right? And then we have to be born through the Father, which is heaven. You must be born again of the Father. Okay. Do you disagree with that?
I think that we all need to be born again.
I said everybody on this side of heaven, but do you disagree that they must be born again of the Father?
Yes, you absolutely should be born again of the Father. But the problem is, Jesse, you only focus on the negativity in the black community. I never hear you talk about how whites lead all races when it comes to drug use, lead all races when it comes to suicide, lead all races when it comes to drug overdose.
Where you getting all that
when
from?
It comes to committing violent crime against their own family.
Clyde, where you getting that information from?
Jesse, whites will kill their entire family.
Where are you getting that information from?
I get it from the computer, Google. All you got to do is look it up, Jesse.
Let me ask you this.
You got 3 computers in front of you.
Let me ask you this. Do you love white people?
I love everybody.
Do you love white people?
I love everybody.
How about white people? Do you love white people?
Of course.
I mean,
but I don't like when white people conspire with people like you who are sell our community and go against us.
Let's say that I wanted to help black people, right? Because these are the issues with the blacks. Do I need to mention?
It's more damage than help, Jesse.
Clyde, hold on. Do I need to mention what white people are doing in order to talk about what the blacks are doing?
Well, you do it.
I'm asking you a specific question.
The black community.
Do I need to mention what the whites are doing in order to reach out to help the blacks?
No, you don't. But what you're doing is not helping the black people.
But there are blacks who are being helped. No, that's not true. There are blacks around the world. There are blacks around the world who are hearing the message of forgiveness.
But Jesse,
hold on, Clyde.
Right.
Clyde, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
There are blacks around the world, in America, everywhere, that are hearing the message of forgiving mama and returning to the Father, and they didn't realize that was the problem, and they started to do it, and their lives are changing. So blacks are listening.
But Jesse, go ahead.
What do you think about that?
I was going to say, but you reinforce racist stereotypes when you continuously degrade the black community on a daily basis. And I know you know what you're doing.
Do I say about the not all, but most of the blacks that are not true? Do I say things that are not true?
Yes, you do say things that are not true. You're always saying not all, but most. You said a couple of things about most black people. I can't remember exactly.
Tell me one thing that I've said about most black people that are not true.
I forgot exactly what you said, but I know you.
Well, when you think of one thing that I've said about most of the blacks that are not true, Let me know.
Jesse, you're always saying most black people. Most
but
black
what,
people
I know,
do
but
this,
what
most
have
black,
I said
and you,
that's
and you
not?
really, and honestly, you have no barometer on it because you don't know most black people. There's 40 million black people in this country. You don't know enough information to put us all in one box like that. But you do that for your white supremacist audience so that they can feel more.
CLYDE, why do you believe white people are superior to you?
I don't believe that they're superior to me,
Yes,
but
you
we live in
do.
a system
Why do
of
you
white
keep
supremacy.
calling them supremacists if you don't believe they're superior to you?
Because collectively we don't have as much power as they have.
So you
They
do
have the power
believe then
to
that they're
control.
superior
They have
to you?
all the. No, I believe that. I don't believe that they're superior to me, but I believe.
So
in this
why do
country,
you call
they have
them
more
superior to you?
I don't call them superior to
You
me.
do.
I'm saying they're white supremacists.
You said a couple of times, maybe three, maybe more, but definitely 2 or 3 times, that white supremacy, you're calling them superior to you. And
listen,
one more
I'm
time,
not,
one more time, and then I'll listen. Why do you believe that white people are superior to you?
I don't believe anybody is superior to us. I believe we're all
to
even
you,
in the eyes
not
of
us,
God.
you.
No, listen. I'm telling you, in the eyes of God, none of us are superior to the other person.
But you
However,
believe that white people are. That's why you call them that.
No, but in this country, they control all the economics. They control all the wealth. A lot of that stuff, a lot of our progress was sabotaged, and America doesn't like to acknowledge it. You're definitely not going to acknowledge it because you don't want to piss your white supremacist audience off either.
What progress that you made, CLYDE, out of New Jersey, what progress that you made and the white people destroyed it? What progress have I made that white people have destroyed? Yes. Well, I mean, you can look at me. No, I'm talking about CLYDE. I'm talking about CLYDE, not Lee. Hey, CLYDE. Okay, me specifically, no. CLYDE. What progress have you made, CLYDE from New Jersey? What progress have you made and the white man destroyed it? Me specifically, none. I'm talking about. Then why are you complaining about someone else that you don't even know for sure? Because I can be. Anyway, because I can be. Why are you complaining about that and it didn't happen to you? Because as a group, I can be affected by what has been done to us. So how have you been affected? How have you been affected by what happened to another black person? Personally, I just told you, how have you been affected? I just told you, specifically talking about me, I can't name that. But as a group. So then you don't know about the other person. You're just going about what you heard. You taking sides. No, I'm not going about what I'm going off of statistical data. It hasn't affected you at all. So does it make sense that CLYDE from New Jersey, who has not been affected by white people, number one, call them superior to you, and number two, complain about something that you say happened to somebody else? Does that make sense? Well, like I said before. Give me an answer to that. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does make sense. Yes. And why does that make sense to you? Because as a group, we are affected. That doesn't mean that specifically all of us will be, but as a group, we can all be affected. But you can't tell me one way that you're affected by what happened to another black person. You can't name one way that it affected CLYDE from New Jersey. CLYDE, let me tell you this. Let me tell you, I got to run. Call me again, man. That was great. Call me again, all right? All right, cool. No problem. All right, I appreciate you, man. No, please. Okay. Amazing. They can't tell you how they were affected because they think as groups. You should never, ever, never, but never, ever, never. I'm telling you the truth. Never, ever think as a group. Never identify yourself or one individual as a group. You are an individual. Because once you identify with the group, you think as a group, and you're not even being affected, but you think that you are, and it's not real. It's an illusion. You are not a group. You are an individual. And anyone that join a group and think as a group, because you can participate in group activities, You can do those things, but don't get a sense of identity from it. We all on the earth, we got to work together in some form or another, but don't take on the identity as a group. It doesn't make sense. Think about it. Clyde, sound like a nice guy, is thinking as a group. He admitted he personally has not been affected by white people. Not at all, but he admitted he's talking about the group. He thinks as a group. That doesn't make sense, folks. You got to work on yourself.
You can't handle the truth.
You got to work on yourself to overcome that. You're not black. You're not white. You're not red. You're a spirit. You're not your thoughts. You're not your body. You're not your experiences. You're not your feelings. All those emotional feelings are coming from thoughts, and thoughts are lies all the time. Do not be afraid to be an individual. That's what made America so great. At one time, when boys were boys and men were men, black Americans did not identify with all black folks. They wouldn't even tolerate. My parents would never tolerate me identifying with black. Isn't that amazing? Don't identify with the world, period. Your identity should only come from within.